Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the Town of Montgomery IDA meeting for September 14th. I'll call the meeting to order, and I don't know if we have extra agendas, if anybody needs them. We can get them if anyone needs a copy. Oh, they're in the back. Thank you. Yep. I'd like to introduce the board. John Dixon, Matt Stoddard. To my right is our executive director, Connor Eckert. I'm Jeff Chris, chair. Tom Jones to my left. And we do have Ed Williams on the phone, which is now allowed by an executive order, I believe, to legislation to allow remote attendance. And behind me is Megan Herberg, our secretary. Thank you, Megan. Rick Golden, our counsel. I forgot your name, ma'am.
Laura Evans.
Laura Evans, stenographer. Welcome, Laura. And Billy Oberson doing the live stream. Welcome, everybody. The first item on our agenda is the approval of the August 18th, 2021 minutes. The board has a copy of those. Any additions or corrections? That also includes the stenographer minutes for the public hearing on Walden Construction Enterprise LLC. Any comments, questions on those minutes? Motion to accept.
I make that motion.
By John Dixon, thank you. Second to that motion? You good, Tom?
Second.
Second by Tom. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Ed's in favor. Motion carried. We always have a quick opportunity for public comment on things that are not on the agenda before we move into the public hearing for Cardinal Healthcare expansion. Would anyone from the public have a comment or question on other items? Moving to Cardinal Healthcare expansion, I'd like to call the public hearing to order. And we had a notice that went out on that public hearing notice. And let's see, that was notice for today at 1 o'clock. It's now a few minutes after 1 for Cardinal Health 200 LLC, a Delaware limited liability company authorized to do business in the state of New York, has submitted an application to this agency. We'll be reviewing the details of that application and the project here in a few moments. The agency will consider whether A, to undertake the project, B, to provide certain exemptions from taxation with respect to the project. And I think that covers most of it. If the agency determines to proceed with the project facility will be acquired, constructed, reconstructed, and installed by the agency and will be leased or sold by the agency to the company. The agency has not yet made a determination related to the seeker law, but we will do so during the process of the review. The agency will at said time and place, which is now, hear all persons with views on either the location and or the nature of the project or the financial assistance being contemplated by the agency in connection with the proposed project. A copy of the application is filed by the company with the agency, and that should also be on our website at montgomeryida.com/project/cardinal-health. The public may also participate by dialing in at 844-854-8432, and when prompted, enter access code 2166376-598# to be afforded the opportunity to comment. And you'll monitor that line, Connor. And this notice was dated August 26, 2021. Over my signature, chair of the Montgomery IDA. So with that, I would ask the project lead here today, Charlie Bazidlo, I believe, and introduce anyone else with you to do a summary of the project, please.
Good afternoon, everyone. As the chairman said, my name's Charlie Bazidlo. I'm outside counsel for Cardinal Health 200 LLC, the applicant in the matter. With me, I have Mike, last time I always get wrong, and I just introduced him as Zatlicow. Those guys, it's almost as good as Bazidlo, yeah, it's good. So anyway, Mike's here. Mike is with the company, located right here in Montgomery. Basically, to keep it short, the subject of the application is that Cardinal is planning about a 310,000 square foot expansion of their existing facility. The existing facility has about 600,000 square feet right now. It is destined to be what the company terms a replenishment center. And basically, the operations that will go on in this facility are currently being done out of Chicago. The material is sent here, doesn't spend any time in the existing facility, and it kind of comes in one door and pushed out the other. In order to improve efficiency and to keep the cost of the materials down, Cardinal wants to construct this replenishment center where this material would actually be able to be warehoused here and cut down on the time that it takes for these products to get to its end customers, which obviously is the local healthcare industry. So, and as I said, about a 310,000 square foot expansion. Cardinal currently employs about 241 employees. This expansion would result in another 60 employees at the facility. And I guess the one other kind of unique thing about that as far as the aspect of this, as I said, a lot of this material flows through the existing facility right now. So from a traffic impact point of view, we're kind of a unique project in that even though we're going to build a 300,000 plus square foot warehouse, we're really only going to see an increase of about 11 or 12 trucks a day because a lot of this material already comes in and out of the facility right now. So, the approximate value of the expansion is about $24 million as our estimate right now. And that's a brief summary of the project. In our application, we have the site plan the site development plan as it exists right now. And if there's any questions, we can certainly hope to answer them. So.
Very good. At this time, I'd like to open the public hearing to comments, questions from the audience, if anyone's here to make those.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
if I might just ask a preliminary question to
Sure.
assist in putting this in context. Charlie, where are you right now in the planning approval process, including seeker?
We've had a couple of appearances with the planning board. We've made a presentation in front of the board. I've attended a couple of work sessions. We have recently updated our site plan submittal, are due for another work session for the one in October. There's been no secret determination yet from the planning board. I guess another unique aspect about this project is that the overall facility, which about 30 years ago was subject to a full environmental impact statement. And at the time, it was thought that this facility would eventually build out at about 1.1 million square feet. There's only 600,000 square feet of the facility there now. So there was a previous environmental review done on the overall project. The planning board, I'm not quite sure what the planning board's going to ask for at this point. So to answer your question, Mr. Gold, there has not been a formal secret determination for the planning board.
Okay,
yet.
short of-
Not circulated for lead agency.
Okay, and is the IDA been included as an involved agency
Yes,
in
they
that?
have.
Okay,
Yes, they have, yes.
thank you.
Ms. Perez? Hi.
So thank you. Good afternoon. Thank you for the opportunity to address all of you this afternoon. My name is Caitlin Perez. I'm the Director of Business Attraction and Expansion with the Orange County Partnership. On behalf of our Board of Directors, I'm here to support Cardinal Health's expansion and the request for incentives through the Town of Montgomery IDA. IDA incentives were created to ensure that companies that add good-paying jobs will be able to grow and expand in New York State's high-cost environment. The medical supply industry has seen dramatic increase in demand since the beginning of 2020 due to the global pandemic. Cardinal Health is no exception. Supplying medical products and services to millions of people around the world, Cardinal Health is focused on improving the lives of not only those here in Orange County, but those around the globe. Cardinal Health has already expanded their facility twice since being the first business along the LA Town Road corridor. The proposed 310,000 square foot expansion will allow for the creation of 60 new full-time jobs, countless construction jobs, and increased tax rates. Additionally, they have proven to be key community partners with their creation of wastewater treatment facility that they later handed over to the town. The Orange County Partnership fully supports the expansion of Cardinal Health along the LA Town Road and their requests for incentives. This expansion will continue to allow Cardinal Health to be an economic driver for the town of Montgomery and the surrounding areas. Thank you.
Thank you, Caitlin. Any other comments from the audience? Don Berger.
Tom Berger, Village of Montgomery. I spoke at the planning board meeting about Cardinal Health, and I did talk highly of them. I think it's a great company out there on Nearly Town Road, one of the better ones out there, I feel. But now we get into the IDA issue, so that is a little bit different. The attorney or engineer, whatever, said that it would create 60 jobs, and I believe the young lady from the Orange County Partnership stated that also. But in the application, what troubles me, it says here, estimate jobs to be retained, and they don't give an answer to that. So what is the answer to that?
Charlie, would you like to speak to it?
Oh, sure, no, that's an easy one. The existing facility will continue to operate, so all of the existing employees will still be there. There's no jobs retained because we're talking about just the expansion area as opposed to the existing operation. So it's all of the existing jobs will stay, and there's a creation of 60 new positions.
I understand that, but again, on the document, it does say retain. Retain to me means that they're long-term, they're gonna stay there. That those 60 jobs are not gonna be subject to some sort of layoff or whatever, or automation, perhaps. Are those jobs gonna stay there? I think that has to be discovered. I think you guys gotta do your due diligence on that, make sure they are retained. The other thing is that in this document, it doesn't give a breakdown of the effects of an application to the jurisdictions. Most of the applications that we have come across in these past few years, there is a breakdown. The jurisdictions meaning the town, the school district, county, whatever it is. It's not in this document. I was wondering why not.
As in the breakdown of the pilot payments?
Yes.
So there's proposed existing taxes, and there's proposed pilot payments towards the end of the application that are,
But not individually.
I can't say that, to my knowledge, that's ever been done.
Excuse me, I don't.
I can't say, to my knowledge, I can't say that that has ever been a question in the application. It might have been an additional step an applicant's taken.
Well, I can show you Amazon and Medline applications that they certainly were.
Right, so as I said, it might have been an extra step an applicant has taken, but it's not an explicit question in the application document itself.
Don, we're really here to receive comment and digest what you're asking, but we can't
I know what
promise
you
you.
hear. I'm well aware of what you hear. They answered the question, so I'm happy with that, you know? The other thing I would like to say is that, does anyone on this board know how much revenue Cardinal Health had in the year 2020? No. It is $152.9 billion. That's a 5% increase over the prior year. This town got into a very argumentative period of time when two other large facilities came into this area that were extremely wealthy. That, you know, I asked the question to myself, why do they need a tax exemption? Why do they need a tax break? They made $152 billion last year. I don't know that this helps our jurisdictions in our township. I know our school is desperate. They're getting killed over there. I really believe that you should use good judgment on something like this. I understand reasons for these pilots, but I don't understand the reasons that these major corporations need these pilots. Thank you.
Thank you, Don. Would anyone else have public comment for us today? And we'll ask on the phone line as well. You want to check if there's anyone?
If anyone is on the phone and would like to make a public comment with respect to the Cardinal Health expansion, please state your name and speak now.
Hi there, my name is Lisa Ruiz, town of Montgomery.
Hi, Lisa.
Hello, I just want to make sure you guys can hear me. In regards to this, I agree with Don Berger's comment. I feel that Cardinal Health has already enjoyed a pilot through Montgomery, and this expansion is a result of their profits increasing, and now to add on another to offer another incentive. I think that we already have offered plenty of incentives. They are thriving, obviously, if they're looking to build this new space, and I think that they should be able to do so, enjoying the benefits that they have in the past, and then with the increased profits that they're obviously making, they should be able to move forward with this project profitably without having to put the burden further on Valley Central School District taxpayers. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Lisa. And just for the record, the Montgomery IDA has not granted Cardinal Healthcare any tax benefits in the past. And this is new money and pilot payments to the school district because it's a new project, not losing any money to the school district. Thank you very much, ma'am.
Thank you.
Anybody else on the line?
Is anyone else on the line who would wish to give a public comment with respect to Cardinal Healthcare?
And I would open up the questions to the board, comments from any of our board members.
Tom Jones, yeah. I just had a follow-up comment from the last time we were together, or question, not comment. I think you were going to go back and look at what percentage of the new jobs we anticipated to be recruited from within the town of Montgomery, and just wondering if there's an update there.
Sure. Yeah, so obviously, again, my name is Mike Zetlikel, so I'm part of the project lead for this. But as we had noted in the past, in terms of our last public hearing, which was for the moratorium waiver, we gave a little bit of a breakdown of the demographics for where our employees live, and approximately 13% of the employees live within the town of Montgomery. So Montgomery, Walden, Maybrook, and then 79% are within the county of Orange County. So, obviously we would like to pursue as many local employees as we can. We can't really tell what the demographics will play out in the future, but we would expect it would be somewhere around that same split, that same way. Any further questions?
Thank you.
Okay.
You good, John? Matt?
Nope.
No, I'm good.
Okay. I did have one just clarification question on the application, just to be clear. The sketches, it appears this addition will be connected right to the existing building.
Yes, that's accurate.
And I did take a look at that area. I assume through the planning board process, there would be landscaping and stuff. It'll bring you fairly close to Neely Town Road, I believe.
I believe there's a 75-foot setback.
Okay.
We will be within whatever that requirement is. Yes.
Okay. And I might point out, I'm not expecting the board to make a decision on this tonight, but part of our deliberation includes a cost-benefit analysis where we do look at the potential benefits for the project as compared to the cost, also known as the incentives and tax abatements. And that shows a 7-to-1 ratio of benefits exceeding cost. And the numbers on those are about 48.5 million benefit to the town, the region, the state. And the cost of these abatements is about 7,269,000. So a 70-to-1 benefit, which is, I think, important for the board to consider.
And if I might clarify, and this is available on the website under Project Cardinal Health, but the cost of the incentives are somewhat inflated. That's just the software, the way they calculate it, due to nominal values, and they call it the time value of money. So the incentives are somewhat inflated, but a 7-to-1 ratio is considered a good ratio. Anything more than 1 is generally considered acceptable. So the benefits of this project are approximately 7 times the costs of what the incentives are.
I do expect the board to keep the public hearing open to written comment for 10 days. For anyone who couldn't make this time and wants to make comment, they can view either the live stream or the video recording of this meeting and still have time to do a written comment to the board.
Chairman?
Yes,
Can
Matt.
I ask a question? I apologize. Sir, and I apologize for making you get up and down. Can you just tell me what Cardinal Health, the company's commitment to local labor is?
It's
On the building of your project?
60 people.
No, your commitment to local labor. Do you have
Construction.
any commitment to local labor? Am I
Is to
too far?
follow the guidelines within the Montgomery IDA.
So you wouldn't go above and beyond, you're not going to say mandatory local labor, you'll go within the guidelines of the labor policy?
If it's more beneficial for us to go above and beyond whatever's in the IDA, I think we would look at that, but I think we would follow very closely to whatever the IDA guideline is.
Thank you.
Jeff, may I make a comment?
Yes, other comments from the public? Don Berger?
Jeff, you did mention about keeping it open for 10 days, but last month, the last meeting you had, you were able to have a meeting at 5:30, and obviously a 1 o'clock time for a public hearing as important as this, you could just look, there's no one here. Those 5:30 meetings, the last one we had last month, had a lot of people here because of work things. And I'm just hoping that you'll keep the entire public hearing open until perhaps your next meeting, reschedule a beneficial time where residents can come to these meetings. I know you guys enjoy a 1 o'clock meeting, but on an important project like this and the request that's before you right now, I would think that you guys would like to get more people here and in fact speak on the matter. The other thing I would like to comment on is that I don't know that Cardinal Health is involved in the Business Council of Greater Montgomery. I would look forward to a good neighbor to be involved in that. Sign up for that council and be part of it. It would be a great deal. I think it would be very beneficial if they became part of that. Thanks.
Thank you, Don.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
Only other thing, you talked about you not making a decision tonight, which is obviously correct. But also, just to remind you that the board can't make a decision until the planning board completes its seeker
Good
review.
point. Good point. Rick, thank you. Any other comments from the public tonight? We should probably check the phone once more quick. And
Is anyone on the line who would wish to make a comment with respect to Cardinal Health?
hearing none, last call from board members. We good? So we'll wrap up comments for this afternoon. I would ask the board to consider closing the public hearing and allowing the 10-day written comment period. I think this project is clearly beneficial to the town. I've had very, very little negative comment towards it. I think our last public hearing had more public interest for comment and was at least a big part of the reason there was a better turnout. But I would defer to the board for discussion on that consideration or a motion to figure our way forward on this public hearing.
Leave it for the 10 days, right, written?
Yeah. Just sorry, Jeff, can you clarify your question?
Yeah, I'm a little confused too.
Sorry about that. We either need to decide to keep the public hearing open till our next meeting, or consider closing it with a 10-day written period to accept comment on this project.
I'm sorry, what's our usual protocol?
I think it depends on the project and factors that come into play. I presume, Rick, we could, if we keep the public hearing open till next month, it makes it a little more difficult to make a decision at that meeting when the public hearing closes. But it may depend on what comment we hear in order to respond.
Yeah, it depends upon what comments. And I think timing of public hearings, as far as attendance, have much more to do with the topic than with respect to the time. But given that, I think that it is, unless Charlie Brazidlo corrects me, I think it's probably unlikely, the way these things progress before planning boards, that seeker will be
Oh, right.
completed before your next meeting anyway.
Good point.
And so I think that if you extend it to the next meeting, likely you'd have the meeting, close it, and you still couldn't make a decision because seeker hasn't been completed.
That's helpful, Rick. So the board could consider keeping the public hearing open till our next meeting. That might also involve what time we reconvene the public hearing. Tom?
Yeah, I just will say that I don't want to question or convey the integrity of these meetings at 1 o'clock. I think they are sufficient in most instances. And because you do have that 10-day open period, you have the capability of people to participate by phone. I think this is more than adequate. Always flexible in situations where we have to do it in the evening, but I don't want to convey to anyone in the public that these are inadequate. So I'm in favor of moving forward with our normal process.
Other comments?
I believe we should leave it open for the duration till the next meeting.
Yeah, I think with the planning board process ongoing, something could come out there that we need to be aware of. And again, we can't do seeker or make a decision until that planning board process is completed.
Well, at
So,
least the seeker portion of the planning board process is completed.
okay, got it. So I would suggest we do a motion to reconvene this public hearing at 1 o'clock on our next meeting date, which is right here. Do you have that, October 12th?
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
I think it's appropriate for you to adjourn this public hearing to that rather than reconvene, so that it
Okay.
doesn't need any new postings or anything
Okay.
else with respect to it. It's just a continuation of this public hearing to the next date.
That sounds good. Thanks for that clarification, Rick. Is everybody understanding of the motion?
Yes.
And did we have that motion made yet?
No. you
Okay,
didn't.
so
I'll
we'll
make
do that by
motion.
Matt. And a second to that motion?
Second.
You good, Tom? Any other discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same? You okay with that motion, Ed? We just are going to adjourn the public hearing until our next meeting on October 12th at 1 o'clock. So everybody's in favor. I'm just checking your vote.
Okay, I'm in favor.
Okay, Ed's in favor of that adjournment, and we'll come back to the public hearing on October 12th at 1 o'clock. For those of you who came out for that, thank you, and for the comment. Our next item today is consideration of the seeker resolution for Walden Construction Enterprise. I'll go through that document. Let me see, got too many darn papers here. I think I had it right here. So this is a seeker resolution, and because we were not included as an involved or interested party when the Village of Walden did their seeker review, we have to go through it in slightly more detail. So just bear with me. That involves an environmental assessment form. The board has a copy of that before them. And there's a number of things we have to confirm we're in agreement on. Overall, let me see, I'll go through each of those numbers, Rick, does that make sense? The impact on land, there is some environmental concern, and that is a proposed action may result in increased erosion, whether from physical disturbance or vegetative removal. But it's been determined through further evaluation that that impact will be small. The impact on geological features, no impact. The same for impacts on water, surface water, no impacts. The impact on groundwater, there is some impact, but again, any impact will be small. The impact on flooding is not expected to have any impact. The same for air. Impact on plants and animals. There is an impact, but again, that impact is expected to be small. No impact on agricultural resources. No impact on aesthetic resources. Impact on historic and archaeological resources. There's some small impacts related to the buildings, archaeological site or district which is listed on the National or State Register of Historic Places, or that it has been determined by the Commissioner of New York State Office of Parks, Recreation, and Historic Preservation to be eligible for listing on the State Register of Historic Places. Again, that impact is deemed to be small. And secondly, the proposed action may occur wholly or partially within or substantially contiguous to an area designated for sensitive archaeological sites on the New York State Historic Preservation Office Archaeological Site Inventory, but that impact is also expected to be small. Impact on open space and recreation, none. Impact on critical environmental areas, no impact. The same for impact on the impact on transportation has a small impact, as there will be some increase in traffic, but not deemed to be a large impact. And the same for impact on energy, small, but there is going to be some impact. The impact on noise, odor, and light, yes, some small impact there, particularly related to some noise levels that could be approaching the level of local regulation. No impact on human health. No impact on consistency with community plans. No impact on consistency with community character. That completes the sections of impact. In part 3 of that full environmental assessment form, we determined this project will result in no significant adverse impacts on the environment, and therefore an environmental impact statement need not be prepared. Accordingly, this negative declaration is issued if the board so deems that to be correct.
Yes, and you have a copy of the negative declaration before you as well.
Yes.
And if I might suggest, Mr. Chairman, that it would probably be a good motion to accept the EAF Part 2 that you just reviewed, unless there is any objections by the board.
Okay.
And then you would take up the conclusion of that, which would be a motion, as proposed anyway, for a negative declaration for this project.
Any questions, comments, board? Would someone care to make the motion to accept the Part 2 of the full environmental assessment form as I just reviewed and of which we each have a copy of?
I'll make that motion.
Thank you, John. Second to that motion?
Second.
I'll second it.
Ed's got a second on that motion. Thank you, Ed. Any other discussion on that motion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. And Ed, are you in favor of that motion?
Yes.
Ed's in favor. Thank you, Ed. And then concerning the seeker resolution, is there anything we should include in that discussion? It follows the EAF that we just reviewed.
Yeah, the negative declaration is detailed. It's been before you as a motion. You don't have to review the entirety. Of course, you can if you wanted to. Or you could just make a motion to adopt the negative declaration that has been before you.
Would anyone care to make that motion?
I'll make that motion.
I have a motion by John, second to that motion by Matt. Any other discussion? Did you have a question, Ed?
No.
Thank you. We have a motion to accept the seeker resolution, and a second. And I'll call for a vote on that. All in favor, please say aye.
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 Ed voted in favor. I vote in favor. Anybody opposed? Motion carried on the seeker resolution.
And that concludes your seeker responsibilities for this project.
Thank you. We expect to make a decision next month on the project. We're still waiting for the Office of Controller to respond to our question of guidance on the residential use. At the public hearing, we did have a number of people, including public officials for the Village of Walden, clearly opposed to the granting of benefits. So we'll deliberate further on that and hopefully make a decision next month on October 12th.
Michelle Kennedy with White and Osterman and Canna on behalf of Walden Construction Enterprise and joined by Rosa Schwartz and Joel Schwartz. We do understand that you...
Maybe come up to the mic, please, Michelle.
We do understand that the board expects to have deliberations with respect to the application. Are your deliberations contingent upon the receipt of a letter from the Office of the State Comptroller, given that there has been a prior decision issued by the Office of the State Comptroller almost 40 years ago, in which we have case precedent and over 90 other matters for which financial assistance has been granted in client in housing projects. So I'm just wondering how long we wait for. It's been 4 months, so I'm just wondering how much longer we're going to wait for the Office of the State Comptroller.
Well, I think it's clear we're not going to wait forever. We realize it's getting drawn out. We are aware, and I believe you provided us copies of those previous projects that had residential components to them. So it's my intent to encourage a decision on October 12th. Rick, would you care to say anything?
Yeah, it certainly isn't contingent upon receiving an opinion from the comptroller, because there's no way to know when that is going to occur. But they The board has indicated that it wants to give it a little bit more time until the next meeting to see if it is forthcoming. They are aware of your case citations and also the limitations in those case citations and comptroller opinion. And especially as they refer to the specific projects at issue of each of those, which is decidedly different than the application before this board. But the board will consider all of those things, will consider if they receive something from the comptroller's office, they will receive that, but if not, they'll consider all the materials that you have presented, and will deliberate in conformance with its policies and determinations as to whether or not they think this is a project that is appropriate for granting benefits, and if so, the extent of those benefits.
And so if the deliberations are to occur at the October meeting, am I correct then that a resolution would not be presented until the November meeting? And so my clients would be precluded from starting the project until sometime in mid-November, late December, 6 months after the start of our application?
That's a possibility. There's also a possibility that this board could go ahead and make a determination, an oral determination, that could be followed later on by a written determination, but they could make an oral determination at their next meeting.
And there's been no determination by council as to whether or not this qualifies as a commercial project without the opinion of the Office of the State Comptroller, is that right?
I have advised the board that there is uncertainty with respect to the eligibility of this project, given the language of, the source language of this board's power that is contained in the Public Authorities Law. They're aware of some projects that have been granted, those that are residential in nature. I'm not sure any of them were completely residential in nature. But they are aware of all those. I have not advised them that it is or is not acceptable, but I have advised them as to the uncertainty with respect to the eligibility of benefits for this project.
And then just one final question. The board in the fall of 2020 approved a supplemental indenture related to another housing project for tax-exempt financing. And I'm wondering what's distinguishable about this project that we're waiting on the Office of the State Comptroller opinion as opposed to that project. And I think it was approved for approximately $6 to $7 million in tax-exempt financing.
That was prior to me being here and advising the board that I considered that there was some uncertainty, and the board now is considering that uncertainty, which was never raised to them before.
And then lastly, at the public hearing, we have the transcript of the public hearing, and the speakers largely came out in favor of the project, but had reservations in particular with respect to the pilot, and primarily the villages component of the project, the villages component of the pilot. So it seems that there's been a characterization at this meeting that there was overwhelming opposition to the project and to all of the financial assistance, when in fact that opposition seemed very specifically targeted to the villages, the exemptions from village taxes. I made the comment at the public hearing, and I'll make the comment again on behalf of my clients, Joel Schwartz and Moses Schwartz, who are here today, that they're willing to waive the village's portion of the pilot, if that's preferable to the board. They're also, and they've acknowledged previously, that they are willing to commit to the local labor policy, which my understanding is involves 85% of the 170 construction jobs over the 2-year period, that those jobs would be filled by local labor in accordance with your policy. And in terms of the pilot, if you were to grant the pilot in addition to the sales and use tax exemption, mortgage recording tax exemption, even without the village's portion being exempted, they're also still willing to cap the rent at 30% of median income, or based upon Village of Walden median income for village residents and town residents. So I just wanted to, again, acknowledge the offers that they have made to this board.
Just for clarity purposes, one, I think it's not correct that all of the statements only had to do with Walden's real property taxes. I think there were much more broadly based comments against benefits, and I think even the Walden people, if I'm not mistaken, also spoke against the mortgage and sales tax as it affects the village of Walden. But putting that aside, so that it's clear what is and is not before the board, are you saying, I mean, the language that you use carefully couched in that they are willing to consider a waiver or a carve-out with respect to the village of Walden. Are you amending your application to this board to not include the village of Walden with respect to real property taxes and/or mortgage and sales?
With respect to real property taxes, yes, we are willing to waive that portion. And I can consult with my clients momentarily and ask them about those.
Why don't you do that? Because I think it's important what's before the board.
My client would be willing to waive the component of the sales and use tax exemption, the mortgage recording tax exemption with respect to the village. However, he does want some confirmation by the board at this meeting that that doesn't restart our application and require a new public hearing.
Yeah, it does not, I will answer because it's more a legal question. It does not restart this application, nor would it require a new public hearing as a result of that. This is simply part of the deliberative process and modifications to projects and requests that would normally occur. The one thing I will tell you, though, is that I have not yet determined that the board has the ability to do what you are modifying, all right? I don't know how the county would permit that sort of carve-out with respect to sales tax, mortgage tax. I don't know practically how that could be affected. It certainly isn't beyond capabilities, but whether or not the participating municipalities who actually enforce the aspect would go ahead and carry that out. But I will look into that. But I first wanted to get your proposal so that it's clear before the board. And I will research whether or not they are legally able to do that. I see certainly no, that comes to mind, I see no prohibition on carving out a particular municipality, although I haven't seen that done before. But I think that that is probably within their power, to fashion a pilot agreement. And it may well be with respect to sales tax as well as mortgage tax. But I will look into that between now and the next meeting.
And I too, I will say, I have not seen a carve-out with respect to sales and use tax and mortgage recording tax, but it's certainly that's something, as they said, they're willing.
Understood. Thank you.
And Michelle, we had one clarification on that fall 2020 project. Connor?
Yeah, so the Sears was an affordable housing project in the village of Walden, financed through the tax-exempt bond financing through the CRC and through the Internal Revenue Code as well. So it's a bit different because this is a market rate project, but that was tax-exempt finance around $7.6 million, and it was affordable in nature.
And the only reason I raise that is because it does seem to me that in terms of its nature as a housing project, and this question of whether or not this qualifies as a commercial project, you have not only your policy, your tax exemption policy indication that it does, but with respect to that particular project, although it may be affordable housing, it is still housing, and therefore still should fall within the category of commercial. And so it is, I raise that point to demonstrate that there's both policy and precedent.
Thank you, Michelle. Any other discussion on Walden construction? Moving on to Executive Director's Report, and you have and we're gonna slot in here a presentation from an innovative software program called GIS Web Tech, and we're gonna bring them up on the video screens and jive them in with the live stream.
That's right. So they are a company out of Georgia, I believe. How you doing, Ron? Just giving a quick synopsis. I came across your work a few months ago. We had a meeting, and this company uses geographic information systems to assist economic development agencies with their business attraction efforts, marketing sites. So we figured a presentation and a demo using a few local sites that we all know could be valuable to see the capabilities of the technology. So Ron, I'll turn it over to you. Thanks. Oh, I was muted the entire time. Take it away, Ron. I just gave a spiel and I didn't know I was muted, so go for it.
Can he hear you?
I'm sorry, I can't really hear what you're saying.
We see and hear you loud and clear.
Okay, should I go ahead and start, Connor?
Yeah, please. Be great.
Okay, will do. Thank you for having me. While I'm sharing my screen, I'll go ahead and introduce myself and our company. I'm Ron Bortese, I'm CEO of GIS WebTech. Joining me today is Courtney Bridger, our Head of Business Development. And what we'd like to do today is spend just a couple minutes, to be very brief, showing you a quick overview of the technology that we provide for economic development. Quick sentence on our company, we're the fastest growing provider in the country. We've gone from a handful of customers, literally 4 years ago, to 125 today, serving economic developers of all sizes all across the country, from small cities and towns right up to entire states. What you see on the screen is a demo site that we set up for today's discussion specifically. You'll notice that it includes the town's logo in the upper left-hand corner, the town's color scheme, matching the look and feel of the town's website. The technology sits on your website. It's accessed by a business or a site selector or a citizen who comes to your website and clicks on a particular link that you describe or that you select. Most of our clients use links that say things like available properties or site selection or online data and analysis, something like that. So the user clicks on the link, their browser opens, and what you see in front of you is what they see, with a few exceptions that I'll explain now because this is a demo site. The first and most important exception is that you'll notice the shape on the map is not actually the town of Montgomery. Instead, it's Orange County. That's because we did not have time to draw a custom shape for you when we set up the demo site. Of course, we would do that for a live installation, a real installation. We would draw the shape of the town boundaries. Okay? Instead, just for the purposes of illustration for today, we included Orange County as the shape on the map. Second, we entered 3 properties into the technology. There are multiple ways property data can get in here. I won't get into the details on that today. But you'll notice on the left side of the screen, there are 3 properties loaded here. Let me start with a quick overview of the property features. The technology is based around properties. Properties are an integral part of the data that's included here. So let's start with properties. A user can select show more filters, and now it has over a dozen different searching and filtering options to find locations that interest them. They could be undeveloped land, they can be available buildings, and they can search for either or both. I won't go through all of the search options, but a user can search for properties that are for sale or lease. They can search for min and max ranges for acreage, square footage. They can search by zip code, by address. And importantly, in the subtype menu at the top of the screen, we can work with Connor and the team to configure this menu to include the types of properties you are likely to have. You will notice there are over 45 separate subtype categories, allowing us to match the available types to your existing property inventory, really helping users find the properties they're looking for. So let's take a quick example of how a user might take a look at a property. Suppose we're interested in the second property on the list, 31 Barron Road. We'll click on the thumbnail. When we do, the property listing panel clears, and now we get detailed information for this particular property. You'll notice we've loaded Connor's contact data. In this demo site, we're simply assuming for the time being that Connor would be the principal contact at the Economic Development Group. And the property data is included here. We follow a particular data standard for property information. I won't get into the details on it, but essentially it allows us to include whatever data you would like to include. It could be utilities, as you see here, access to transportation, broker's contact information, zoning, sales lease price, really any information you'd like to incorporate. In the middle of the panel is the media gallery, allowing us to include whatever media you would like to include with this property. So you can see here there's a map There's a topo image with some overlays of rail and other data, and there's an aerial showing the site. So this type of images are quickly and easily uploaded, and the software allows you to include not just imagery, but really any media. So video, drone video, 3D video through 360-degree imagery and 360-degree video as well. So let's show a specific example, very quickly, of how a business might be interested in gathering data around a location like this one that interests them. So they've taken a look at the property, starting to get interested in it. Maybe they want to understand workforce that's available to commute to the property. Maybe they want to understand the demographics of the area around the property because we're thinking about manufacturing and selling locally. They can click on reports. When they do, from the pull-down menu, they have access to the most advanced tools available to gather data around this location that interests them. They can get data within a drive time or a driving distance, within a ring, which is radius, trucking time, trucking distance, walking time, walking distance. Each of those is obviously geared toward a different use case. And when a user selects drive time, for example, this technology actually allows the user to take traffic into account, select their day of the week, and their time of day and direction of travel, thereby giving realistic, real-life drive times reflecting real-life traffic. I won't go ahead and do the analysis in the interest of time, but when a user does that analysis, and they want to gather data from within that drive time boundary around a particular location of interest, they can get data from any of 46 available Esri demographic reports. And again, I won't go through the full list. So lots and lots of data is available. That data and those analytical tools are available not just from the listed properties, but a user can also drop a pin. See the pin icon at the top of the map, with custom reports. User can select pin, drop the pin, and now has access to the same advanced tools from the location of the dropped pin. In fact, the user can get data for a custom shape that they draw. You'll notice next to the pin icon on the left, there's an area tool. The user can click on that, draw a particular shape on the map, and now have access to data from within that area. Particularly useful for things like neighborhoods, which don't correspond to community boundaries. It's not a city, it's not a county, it's not going to reflect the drive time, and so on. A couple of other quick highlights I'll show you. The layers, you see the layers menu here, infrastructure, education, recreation, broadband, etc. Those are the standard set that we incorporate for you right out of the box. But as we've discussed with Connor, this is a particularly strong area of the technology where you can integrate local data in the form of layers that really helps the community stand out and helps tell your stories. So lots of clients take advantage of this. And we provide supporting tools that I'm not going to show you today that allow you to access local data in the form of layers already built, but also create your own data in the form of layers. Clients use this to showcase, for example, zoning, parcels, sewer, water, other local infrastructure. Some clients showcase quality of life layers. In your case, the Appalachian Trail, for example, is an available layer that you could choose to integrate here to emphasize quality of life. Other clients include layers like local transit, bus stops, rail, whatever it might be. So lots and lots of ability to incorporate data, local data, in the form of layers that really helps your strengths stand out. Okay, last couple of points I'll make is the software also includes real-time access to the entire Esri demographic data set. For those of you who aren't familiar with it, this technology is built natively on the Esri GIS platform, which means this access to the entire Esri data set is in real time. You never need to worry about the data being out of date. And because it's the Esri data set, that is the data that's been shown in independent studies to be the most accurate, and is also the data most requested by businesses. We incorporate for you right out of the box workforce data. So this is very helpful for businesses looking for specific two-digit workforce occupational code categories, as you see listed here. And then lastly, the software allows full 3D functionality such that you can showcase particular proposed uses of properties in the form of virtual spec buildings. Let me show you what I mean by that, and I'm going to switch from the demo installation we set up for the town to an actual live client installation. So this is a city in Georgia, Macon, Georgia, and we've got 3D turned on, allowing me to tilt, pan, rotate, and move around the site. And you'll notice when I turn the Airport South Industrial Park layer off, that 3D building goes away, and we can see that that site is really just a hayfield. So we work with the client to create a virtual spec building at very little cost, allowing them to showcase this particular industrial property and what it might look like with a light industrial building on it. And in this case, we also added in blue, green, and yellow sewer, water, and power lines. So let me go ahead and pause. I'd like to just see if there are any questions or any discussion you'd like to have.
Any questions, comments? I think we're good so far. Ron, Connor, do you have anything?
Yeah, I just wanted this to be a showcase of this technology and the capabilities of it. It's quite fascinating, especially when you get into the states of Florida and Texas that have all these sites. A developer can just go on this site, look for 60 acres, and then it'll take you to all the options. You can zoom in closer to see infrastructure, education, workforce. So it's all this interesting data right at the fingertips of people looking to make location decisions, which I think is interesting and also not done in New York yet. So that's about it. And if you guys have any questions, please.
I have a question.
John.
What's the cost of this service?
Good question. I don't know.
Ron, could you speak to the cost of this?
Sure. Yeah, the technology is actually very affordable. We, for reasons I won't get into, we charge an annual fee based on population. It has to do with usage. Usage drives some consumption costs, meaning we have to pay our partners credits for data and things based on usage. So we license based on usage. The good news is the town is in our lowest price tier. So it's very, very affordable, and the town can continue to grow for a long time before we'd ever need to, in effect, you'll never jump up to our next price tier. We have much larger clients who of course pay a lot more. For example, state of Florida, 22 million people. They're a client of ours. Their fee would be very, very different than yours. Again, you're in our lowest price tier, so very affordable.
Right, Ron. But the price, rather.
The actual number, let me pull it up.
Yes, sir.
I'm going to open it up on my other screen. Apologies, I didn't realize that.
No problem.
So we sent a proposal to Connor, and that's what I'm opening up on my other screen. Give me 1 second. Okay, so the price we provided is $5,800 a year to license 3 products. The principal product is the product I've shown you on the screen. That is our Recruit technology. The name of the product is Recruit, and that is public-facing, sitting on your website. Included for the first year at no charge are 2 supporting products from our partner Esri. One is called ArcGIS Online, and that's the tool that integrates with Recruit and allows you to create local layers and access local layers from other sources like the Appalachian Trail layer I mentioned. The third product is Esri's Business Analyst, which is a product that also integrates with Recruit and allows you to do much more detailed analysis. Both of those 2 supporting products from Esri are private. In other words, you would log in and use them on your own. Recruit is public-facing, and they integrate to form a complete GIS for the town. Now, we've waived our normal workforce data fee of $680 a year, so we have partnerships that allow us to incorporate the workforce data I mentioned. We'll simply absorb that fee, okay? And then lastly, there is a one-time setup fee of $1,950. So let me recap. The annual license fee, all in, is $5,800, and the one-time setup fee is $1,950. There's no separate support fees for training or tech support or anything like that. It's all included.
Thank
Answer
you.
the question.
I'm
curious.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
I'm curious what the second year cost would be of the bundled component.
Yeah, great question. So we provide that at our expense for the first year. That's part of our partnership with Esri. So in the second year, if the town chooses to continue to license those 2 additional pieces, that would be a direct license between the town and Esri. Esri will follow up 90 days prior to renewal to see if you're interested in renewing. Totally optional. Many of our clients choose to continue to use Recruit without supporting other tools. We give you essentially a year's free use to see if you think it's worth continuing to go. If you choose to continue, it's $1,000 a year. And that, again, would be directly between you and Esri.
Does that include the Esri demographic and economic data set, or that's a different charge?
I'm sorry, Connor, I couldn't hear that.
Does that include the Esri demographic data, or is that a separate charge?
Great question. Everything I showed you today in Recruit is always included in Recruit and will always be included in Recruit, whether or not you choose to continue on in the second year with those two supporting Esri products. Those are completely optional. A little more than half of our customers actually choose not to use them. So many customers take a look at it, don't use it much during the first year, don't want to bother paying for it in the second year, no problem. Our app stands alone. It can integrate with those tools, but they are not required. All the data in our app we continue to provide, including the full Esri demographic data set.
Connor, this is more of a question for you than it is for Ron. Have you considered whether or not this would be, like, are we the right agency to house this tool versus maybe a larger partnership with Orange County, somewhere else within the town? You know, just how many people are looking directly at us versus maybe Orange County and they may be getting steered towards us?
I think just by sheer number, more people are looking at Orange County, but considering our recent success in site selection, the amount of projects we get, it could be a useful tool to be proactive with our new zoning, with the opportunities we get. I mean, currently we have, you know, probably 6 or 7 project opportunities that are playing out. So Orange County would probably be good getting it, but I think us doing it locally helps us showcase our marquee sites, and I don't know if Orange County would, but I mean, doing a partnership is certainly an interesting thought, but it would have to be in conjunction with, I think, other communities too.
So we're going to have to rely on our marketing schemes then to drive more traffic towards us.
Right, exactly, yeah, yep.
Anything else?
No, just one last point to support what Connor said. We have many clients who take the partnership approach you just described. We have clients who work in partnership with a series of regional partners. There are trade-offs. If you were to do this in partnership with the county, you could share the costs. It would be more affordable. That would be the plus side. The downside would be that the configuration would be for the county, and any user who comes there would not necessarily focus on the town of Montgomery, but would be available, would have access to really all of the county's data, all the other properties associated with the county and so on. So we have lots of clients who look at that, lots of regional programs. We're happy to talk about that in the future with you if that's something that makes sense.
I think it's worth exploring the partnership angle, and this was just meant to show the technology, a quick introduction, but maybe we have more discussion on this, and I can certainly explore partnering with other agencies.
Can we access the demo?
Unfortunately, no, because it's only a demo site. It isn't publicly available. We do encourage you to look at live client sites. I can send Connor an email. Happy to do that with 3 or 4 examples that we encourage you to take a look at.
Thank you, Ron.
Appreciate it, thank you.
Okay, thank you for having us.
Very interesting. Have a good day.
Thank you.
Now we'll move on to the executive director's report. Please, Connor.
Sure thing, Jeff. Mr. Chairman, I'll move through this. Got so many papers on
I know it's in here somewhere. Yeah, I have it here too.
So one, just focusing on, of course, the Cardinal Health project. I think that's a regionally significant project. Pursuing a handful of leads that, as this board knows, take a while to materialize oftentimes. So interesting, there's pet food manufacturing, there's industrial, there's a few hospitality projects in the works, even potential cannabis projects that are interesting. And recently focusing on the former Spence Engineering building in the village of Walden, clean industrial building with all the utilities you need. Very, marquee, clean building that's tough to come by in the county, really. Working, to understand better the town's zoning scheme and their future plans, working into our business attraction efforts, continually building relationships with these site selectors, and gearing up actually to go to the New York State EDC annual meeting in September that has brokers and economic developers from across the state and site selectors. And then also is trying to find new technology like the GIS web tech, looking into new ways to market sites, just because I think that is important. Other states are very, very good at marketing the sites, especially Florida and down south. So at least trying to emulate some of the things they do could be useful. So it's the business attraction, the project management, and really just trying to find new technology that could be useful to the board.
Thank you, Connor. Comments, questions? think we're good to go. Move on to the financial report, please, Matt, for August.
Yes, sir. Checkbook beginning balance from last report is $349,363.20. We deposited $500 into the account, bringing the checkbook to $349,863.20. Checks for the month: acquisition marketing, $425, and Times Community newspaper of $142.78, bringing the checking account balance to $349,295.42. Sailfish escrow that's still in that account is $12,535. And our grand total of the Orange Bank and Trust, we have $349,295.42, along with the Orange Bank and Trust Sailfish escrow account of $12,535, along with the Orange Bank and Trust money market of $455,962.81, bringing you a grand total of $817,793.23.
Questions for Matt?
I have a question. Are we still paying Loki Brill or no for oversight on that project?
I believe the final inspection was the end of August.
Okay.
So there's remaining money in that escrow because there could be additional inspections. If there's some sort of delay, we keep it in there just in case they need to go back.
Okay.
But at any point, I believe
Yeah,
Sailfish.
because I noticed they weren't on this month's
Yeah.
finance.
And that Sailfish puts that money in that escrow. So at any point, I guess, when the project's over, they could have that money back.
All right, thank you.
Good question. A motion to accept the financial report for August.
I make that motion.
Thank you, John. Second to that motion?
Second.
Second by Tom. All in favor of that motion and acceptance of the financial report, please say aye.
Aye.
And I don't know if we might have lost Ed. In favor? Anybody opposed? Motion carried on the financial report. Thank you. And other business, Connor, you had one item there?
Yeah, just planning to go to the September 28th annual meeting up in Cooperstown. Great opportunity to learn from and speak with IDA people, economic development people from across New York State. So looking forward to that.
And that's the New York State EDC?
That's right, yep.
Economic Development Council. Good deal. Enjoy and learn a lot. Anything else on other business that needs to come before us today? A motion to adjourn. I should say our next scheduled meeting, we mentioned it earlier, is October 12th, 2021 at 1 p.m. And a motion to adjourn.
I make that motion.
Thank you, John. Second to that motion?
Second.
Second, thanks, Tom. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Meeting adjourned. Thank you, everybody.